so to speak. Hey there everybody, Grimracer here, Trophy Hunter Series. We're going to be doing an install today. Yep, I've got a friend of mine here, Ron Travis. Say hi, Ronnie.
Howdy.
And Ron's brought his VS1 over, and that's why I've got my Aquacraft shirt on, just kind of celebrating that good old days, if you will. And let's take a look at the Magnum radio he's been using on this old dog. Yep, there it is. Bet you haven't really seen one of those in a while. We're guessing the radio's 20 plus years old. Yeah, it's got a 2.4 module shoved into the back of it. But you know what? It's just kind of past its time. As a matter of fact, it's also got a 603 FS receiver in it, a fast receiver. So we're going to take this fast system out and we're going to install and replace it with a brand new 3PV. And today's video is going to be setting that up. So let's get involved. Let's do it right now. Ronnie, are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's do it. Well, let's take a look and review at the equipment that Ronnie's got in the boat now. This is a Aquacraft VS1 with an OS version 2 motor, lightning fast motors. OS makes an incredible motor. Let's take a look at the equipment that's in there now. That we're going to actually be using this servos. We're going to go ahead and just reset up everything. Looks like we've got a nickel metal hydride in here. Of course, our 603 FS. On the throttle, we've got a S3002 and a whopping BLS 351. BLS 351 on steering. That is a stump puller. So we're going to leave those servos in, and we're going to go ahead and change this equipment out. And what we'll do with this, we're going to do just a basic setup. How to set up endpoints using a 3PV. All the way to setting up the fail-safe. And there's been an awful lot of discussion lately on the forums about setting up fail-safes and stuff. Now there's a couple ways to look at fail-safes, and we'll talk about that when we're setting it up. So a couple mindsets when it comes to deciding what you want your fail-safe or your boat to do during that fail-safe period. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but right now let's go ahead and start switching this out. The first thing we did was Ronnie picked up his 3PV, beautiful radio, by the way. I mean, we did a review on that, and you can always go to my page and check that review out. And Ronnie went ahead and picked himself up a 324 receiver, and we went ahead and put the 400 millimeter antenna on that. Again, it's a diversity receiver, but we want to make sure we've taken advantage of that 400 millimeter antenna. Let's get that antenna up out of the boat, just like we used to. It's no big deal. Just put the antenna in the boat, get it up out of the water. So we're going to be doing that. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Hang tight. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we'll just go ahead and take the old receiver out. Ronnie, go ahead and pull that out of there. The old fast systems were awfully reliable, and you kind of hate to let them go, but they're just not supported the same way they were before. I mean, they're older systems. I think 2006, maybe 2007 was the first time I started racing a fast system. And the next thing we're going to do, we're actually going to remove the screws from the servo horns and pop the servo horns off of the servos. And the reason we're going to do that, when we fire this system up, we really don't need to have any load on the servos for that original startup. Let's face it, our endpoints are going to be off for everything. It's just not going to be the right thing to do. We don't want to overload anything. So again, if you're doing just a fresh radio install, remove the servo arms off the top of the servos. Ronnie's doing that now. And then that battery too, Ronnie, let's get that out of there. Looks like we've got a little Turnigy nickel metal hydride. So now you can see we're pretty well cleaned up here. Let's get this bread tie out of there. He's got a little a felt pad in the bottom of there. That's a good idea. But you can see we've got our switch harnesses down in here, right here, and so we're pretty well set up for a new install. Futaba recommends that you vibration isolate your radio equipment. And I always do that, and I use a little vet wrap. I'm going to go ahead and dig some up. I think I actually, yep, I do have some in the old Grimracer toolbox here. I'll grab a pair of scissors. All right. Oh, and Ronnie's got some too. You see, he's way ahead of me. We'll use his since he's all set up for it. Our install is going to include an FRF 900, FR2F 900 LIFE battery. We're going to be using that in here. So Ronnie, if you would, take these two items, the receiver and the battery pack, and let's go ahead and, I guess we probably want to fire this up first before we wrap it up. So we're going to go ahead and link this system, not into the S-Bus 2 port. Let's go ahead and just pick 4. We're not going to be using channel 4 anyway. Okay, now the S-Bus, let's see what, yeah, that's an S-Bus 2 port. Now we won't be necessarily hooking anything to the S-Bus 2 port on this radio. We could, and that would be an external voltage system. We don't really need that. We're not an electric boat or an electric car. So we're gonna just be monitoring this receiver pack voltage through the telemetry that's built into the system. So let's see, and then as I always do, 1 to turn, and 2 to burn. So we're going to hook the throttle to channel 2 and the steering to channel 1. Ronnie's going to go ahead and get those attached here. We're just going to bypass the switch for the moment while we get everything linking or pairing. We don't use the word bind with Futaba equipment. It's link or pair, linking. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we've got a model, we're on model 1, and what we're going to do is we're going to scoot over here to system, and we've got TFHS selected. Now, we're just going to continue, we went through the process of selecting that. We've selected the model, you cycle the power on and off. We're going to boogie over here to link. Now I'm going to hold this center button down, and we will get a flashing link. We've got 20 seconds now for Ronnie to get the poker in there and give that a press. I'm not seeing a flash. There you go. Okay, lid off. And let's see what we got. There it is. So now we've got throttle. We are linked. So again, that process of linking the system is make sure that you've selected in the menu the receiver you're going to be using under system, and there are 3 choices: FHSS, SFHSS, and TFHSS. We're going to use the T here. We got the T324. So now we're linked, and then once we do that, once we've selected that receiver, we scroll over again. You can see I could back out of that, or I could go back to that. We could relink, for instance. Press and hold until it's flashing. Come on over. Press the button inside the receiver there with your poker tool, and it'll recognize then that it's been linked. Anyway, so we're linked up. That's good news, Ronnie. And we've actually got a working throttle servo and a working steering servo. We just know that we've got some setup here to do yet, but we are linked. So hang tight, here we go. We're going to go ahead and set the endpoints. So I'm actually in the endpoint menu, and we just talked a little bit about, and I'll add that information, about the difference between endpoint and dual rate. It's best not to confuse the two. So anyway, there's our endpoint. You can see whether I turn the steering wheel left or right will be the direction that I'm going to actually just make sure I'm in the right. If you turn it and you let go, it'll stay left or it'll stay right. Then I know I'm in that menu. I want to reduce the endpoint. It's going to have to happen in both directions, but I'm just going to take this to 75%. I'm going to go this way and I'm going to reduce that to 75%. Let's just see what that gets us. It's still too much, but we're getting there. Let's go ahead and we'll go to the right. I'm going to reduce this further. We'll take it down to 60. Take it down to 60. It's a bit more manageable. I think that's probably a fair place to start. So that gets us steering, endpoint, and again, not the same as dual rate. Let's jump over to the throttle. Now the throttle is going to be a little bit different because we're going to have so much deflection forward, and we really don't need all this going to the back. Some of the advantages that you get with some of the other higher end radios is you can stop that. You can adjust that mechanically. We can still do it in here. We're going to do it with the endpoint. I'm going to head over to channel 2, and that's our throttle down here. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to leave it so it pulls full, but when I go back, I want to reduce that. So let's do that. We're actually in back, push forward, back mode. I'm going to reduce that. Let's go ahead and watch. Okay, this is down to, I'm just taking it down to 40%. There, and that'll be motor off. Motor off, throttle up. Motor off, throttle up. Again, throttle up, motor off. Throttle up, motor off, okay? So that's happening in our endpoint. Again, that's not dual rate. Ronnie, go ahead and just, what we're gonna do is we're gonna wanna take, this is gonna be 0. This is gonna be idle on the boat. So I'm gonna take this cable and I'm gonna go ahead and loosen that, Ronnie. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of predetermine an idle position. And I'm gonna give it a fairly healthy cat's eye slot there. Go ahead and give that a snug down. Ronnie's gonna tighten that back up or just snug it down. We're going to come back over here to the radio. Let's see what we've got. So I'm going to actually squeeze the trigger. Beautiful. I'm going to close the motor. Perfect. Full throttle, close the motor. Full throttle, close the motor. Right? There's our idle. Now we can still adjust our idle. You can see it closing that throttle. If we need a lower idle, it doesn't change any of this. Or if we come up with it, and we'll get a higher, and that's let's see, what button is that? What switch is that? DT2. DT2, I'm going to go ahead and raise DT2, and that'll give us a higher idle. Okay, and it'll even go higher. But really, let's just take this back to 0 for now. Okay, so again, when I pull the trigger, full throttle, and even though I get full deflection on my brake is engine off in this case. Full throttle, idle, engine off. Full throttle, idle, engine off. That's actually set up pretty nice, Ronnie. That looks good, and you can see everything in here looks legit, right? Full throttle, engine off. There's our idle. Okay, steering, got that set up to a set of to the endpoints. And that's a bit of a guesstimate. We'll go ahead and we'll fiddle with that down to the pond when we get the chance to adjust that. But I think everything else there is looking pretty good. So what's next? We're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap up the equipment and get it down into the boat, and then we're going to set a fail-safe. So hang on, let's do that. With TFHSS, that's what we're using. We've got the T324 SBS receiver in here. We're going to be able to, not only if the radio loses a signal, but if the battery gets to a voltage, it'll fail safe. The receiver battery gets to a voltage, it'll fail safe. So pretty cool. And what we're going to do, and I've talked to Ronnie about this, we're going to shut the motor off. If this goes into fail safe, we're going to turn the motor off. You could have it idle. You could have it go to a higher throttle. This one you can't adjust channel 1. So we're not going to be able to have any control in a fail-safe over the steering anyway. I don't know if I care. But we're going to shut the boat off. If this goes into fail-safe, this boat shuts off. Is it a target out there? Kind of. But it's a better chance than running the thing into the bank or the rocks or anything or whatever. So we're just going to shut the motor off. Here's how we're going to do it. So we've reviewed, and what's cool about this, we're going to be using an LIFE battery pack inside the boat, and it recommends, and again this is only for TFHSS, that if you're using a two-cell LiPo, you can set the voltage to 4.8 in failsafe, and if this receiver battery sees 4.8 volts, it goes into failsafe. Now remember, there's still voltage there, so it's going to operate. It's not a dead battery, it's a low battery voltage. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm in the failsafe menu here. You can see right now factory failsafe is turned off. It's not started off. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. And by turning it on, all I'm going to do is scroll over to the menu where I would start setting voltages. And remember, we're going to set this to 4.8. Oh, missed it. 4.8 on, and then channel 2 will be affected. Okay, so there's our 4.8. I'm going to scroll over to the next menu, and right now we're forward 12%. I'm going to go ahead and just hit that. Now we're back to, basically that is our idle position. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the throttle back, push the throttle back, okay, and then we're going to push. Just a minute, I'm going to have Ronnie help me with this. Here, Ronnie. Ronnie's going to hold the throttle so it's in the engine off position. He's going to push it forward or back in this case. And I am going to, I think I'm going to push this, like there, button, negative. So you can see it's back 27%. All right, go ahead and let go, Ron. So now if this battery voltage gets to 4.8 volts, this will fail safe. Or if I turn this off, it goes to fail safe. So the throttle closes. I'm going to turn it back on. Okay, 3 PV's awake. We've got a regular operation. But if I lose a signal for any reason or this transmitter goes out, what happens? Fail safe, shuts the motor off. And remember, same thing happens if this battery gets down to 4.8 volts. It's still got voltage in it, but it's saying, I'm not at a comfortable operating level, I'm low, I'm going to fail safe this motor. It shuts it off. So now, some of the talk on the forums is, if you don't set fail safe correctly, or you're not careful with endpoints, that you can high current draw the system. That's probably true, especially if you're using battery voltage. You know, the battery voltage is still in the boat, and it's doing everything it can to hold those positions, whatever's predetermined in failsafe. So you do want to be careful with that. One of the things I'm going to be doing in a future video is actually recording amp draw using telemetry and a Futaba sensor to find out what kind of amp draw we're really dealing with when it comes to fail-safing a boat. Look for that video later. So anyway, we've got a fail-safe. It's all set up. Our receiver is all wrapped up in our vet wrap, and that's the way I like to do it too. We'll do the same thing with the battery. The battery will get vet wrapped up. And then remember, this is a diversity receiver, and here's the top. We want to make sure that our the top of our receiver, I'll just put it in this way, that the top of our receiver is facing up, like that, if you will. We'll get this all tucked in. Let's go ahead and get it tucked in. Let's do a setup just the way we'd be running the boat. Hang tight. So for the good old VS1, this is how we're going to set this up. Now, reminder, this does not have an adjustable mixture in it. Yeah, a lot of guys use adjustable mixtures. I'm on the fence. I have one boat over the last 35 years of doing this that has it in it. Otherwise, I don't use them. If I can't get the thing figured out before I throw the boat in, I'm probably struggling with my program. It is nice to have on the boat that I have it. It has saved my butt once in the 7 years I've had that boat set up that way. But so I don't know. Did I really need to win that race or finish it? Probably in the moment. Anyway, no third channel, no adjustable mixture here. So this is what we've got. We've got our BLS 351. We got our S3002. We've got our 900 milliamp LIFE pack. We've got our 324. They're all wrapped in vet wrap. We've got our 400 millimeter receiver antenna, and Ron's going to actually install that antenna. What we're going to do is we've got the rubber cap on the end of our antenna. We don't want to ever damage or clip the end of this. Bend it, nothing. Don't do anything with it. Just run it up into the hole. Ronnie's going to do that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use this zip tie as a retainer. So the retainer will work pretty nice. Usually what I'll do is clip this off in this area, and then it'll go up into there. This can be a bit laborious, but here we go. There you go, Ronnie. You got it, buddy. All right. So that's sitting up in there. And then what we'll do is we'll end up, I like to anyway, I don't want this antenna slipping back down in there. So Ronnie, go ahead and slide that, yep, be careful around that antenna. There you go, that's good. And give that end of that thing a little bend and kind of push it up in there further, because I didn't shove it in there very far, Ronnie.
Okay.
There you go. That's good. So that just keeps that antenna from sliding down in the boat during vibration or whatever else. So that pretty much completes the install. You can see nice and neat. Keep the wires out of the arms. Keep everything nice and neat. This radio box gets taped up around here to keep the water out. Make sure you always have an antenna cap and keep this system sealed. It's not a bad idea to test this system when it comes time for water inclusion. I know that this boat's been run a number of times and it just needed a radio upgrade. So what did we do? Brand new 3PV, brand new R324 receiver with 400 millimeter antenna, and a monster BLS 351 for steering. You know what? When it comes to tunnel boats, Ronnie, you and I both know it. You can't have enough power on steering.
That's right.
You just can't. So keep a lot of power on steering. You won't hurt you anything. You're not going to overcurrent the system. This stuff handles this really well. So yeah, put it more steering power, the better. So, too bad it's raining out there today. We'd take this down to the pond and let it and terrorize the pond with it. But it's not going to happen today. We've got rain. But man, I'm here to tell you, 3PV, very nice, little, simple radio. You know, we've talked about it. You can watch a review video I did on it. It's a good idea to look through that. The receiver that came with this radio system was an R203. Again, that's just not for us in model boating. Yes, you can make it work. You cannot just change the antenna. It's a podded antenna. You'd have to send it to Futaba to have it changed. I don't know if they're willing to do that. But get yourself a 324 receiver when the time comes. Yes, the 304 is not a bad choice, but it's not a diversity receiver. Take advantage of diversity receivers. Again, 324, dual antennas, 400 millimeter. You can see it's up out of the boat. This old VS1's ready to make tracks. Well, Ronnie, can you think of anything else? Do you have any questions? No. I think we're pretty well set. I think this thing's ready to rock and roll. I'm fully expecting 50 miles an hour out of this boat. And I'm here to tell you, this boat is zero slouch. This hauls. So it's a good runner. What do you think, Rob?
I'm ready to go on the pond.
Let's do it.
Let's race.